Early one autumn morning in 2011, a security guard in the wealthy gated community of Admiral's Cove responded to a security alarm at one of the homes in the neighborhood. The guard arrived at the residence within 3 minutes of dispatch. Inside, he found the patriarch of the family dead in the bathroom. 2 possible murder weapons were spotted nearby. Emerging from the house were 2 suspects, a mother and son, each with a motive, and each pointing the finger at the other. It seemed that one of them had to be the killer. That is, unless there was a third person who had somehow made a rapid escape from the scene. Hi there, I'm Kevin, and welcome to Just Thought Lounge. Today's case has so many of the aspects that make for a head-scratching roller coaster of a story. It has romance, scandal, resentment, ambiguous physical evidence, and the knowledge that at least one of the main figures must be lying for any of it to make sense. Let's take a look. Admiral's Cove is an affluent neighborhood in Palm Beach, Florida. The waterfront promenade provides stunning views of the water, lined with multi-million-dollar homes and luxury apartments. At 7 a.m. on September 30th, 2011, Luis Garcia, a security officer, was instructed to respond to a home alarm in the gated community. It appeared to have been triggered by the system's glass break sensors. He arrived at the house 3 minutes later. Answering the door was 38-year-old Lanny Horwitz, who appeared to be a bit dazed, perhaps having only just awoken. From inside the house, his mother, Donna, was distraught and screaming, "I think he's dead." Further inside the house, through the master bedroom, Luis found 66-year-old Lanny Horwitz collapsed in the bathroom in a bloody scene. The glass from the shower door had shattered behind him, leaving shards scattered across the floor. Lanny was bleeding from the head, a gun in his hand. Police and EMTs responded swiftly, though when they arrived, it was too late. Lanny was pronounced dead at the scene.
Now, in retrospect, it could be something else, but I'm thinking he looked like shell-shocked, awake, like you just crawled out of bed, literally just crawled out of bed. So he's not in pajamas, but he's in clothes, and he looks groggy or dazed as if he just got out of bed. Okay. So I said to him, "What's going on? We're here for an alarm." He goes, "I don't know." And he said, "My mom is screaming." I said, "Okay, why is your mom screaming?" He goes, "I don't know." I said, "Is there anybody else in the house?" "Who is in the house?" "Just you two?" He goes, "My father." And I said, "Are there any weapons or guns inside the house? Does he have a gun?" He said, "Yes, I think he has a gun." And I see her upset, hysterical, sobbing. And I come to her quickly, I look around, and I tell him to stay right there, and I say, "What's going on?" She said, "I think he's dead."
What sort of interaction or reaction or actions do you see from mom and from the son?
Mom is very emotional. She's extremely upset, almost can't speak. The son, again, I thought was dazed, shocked, not showing a whole lot of emotion, like, I don't know, maybe sleepy, drugged, I don't know, whatever. Now, obviously, things are pointing in a different direction. But I clearly remember that mom was very emotional, son was not. Nothing about them made me think that they were involved. I saw no blood on them, otherwise it would have been a little different.
No injuries, nothing?
No injuries. I didn't see any blood, any injuries, nothing. Mom was pretty upset. Son appeared as if he had just woken up. And then
Luis told police that after he entered the bathroom, he secured the gun from Lanny's hand by removing it. Then he began to render medical aid. The security officer's initial assumption was that the wounds had been self-inflicted. Indeed, because he discovered the gun in Lanny's hand, responding officers and even detectives believed this to be the case, at least at first. Initial assumptions were proven wrong when it was discovered that Lanny had been shot not just once, but 9 times. There was no indication of forced entry into the house. That left two potential suspects, Donna Horwitz and her and Lanny's son, Radley. At the scene, Donna refused to speak with law enforcement. She appeared to be in a state of shock. Radley, however, spoke freely. He told a detective that he awoke and heard gunshots. However, he could not be certain if he was initially jolted awake by the gun firing or the security alarm. Regardless, from the doorway of his bedroom, he claimed to see his mother screaming and pacing.
It was like pop, pop, and the alarm was going off, and I heard screaming, and I was afraid to come out of my room. I know that sounds awful, but I was fucking scared.
Okay.
And my mom was screaming, and she was in the living room. I could see my dad through the doorway. At least I assumed it was him. Nobody else would have been in the house. And obviously now it is. I saw someone on the floor.
Okay.
And blood. I don't know. I heard a couple of pops, but I don't know how many there were.
Okay.
But it was loud.
What was your mom's demeanor? How was she?
She was screaming and screaming my name, and she was like going around in the living room with her arms up.
Was she saying anything? What happened, or what's going on, or anything?
No.
Do you think that your mom is capable of shooting your dad?
No. She's got her dogs, and she's got us,
There were no arrests made at the scene. Indeed, it took some time for investigators to sort through the evidence in the house. Entering the lavish mansion, investigators first noted the cleanliness of the home. The only notable indication of the horrific murder that had taken place further inside was a small smear of blood on the railing of the gate on the other side of the front door. Approaching the master bathroom, a gun was found on the floor outside, the one that Lewis had removed from Lanny's hand. Another was identified in a holster on the bedroom dresser. Bullet fragments fired from both guns were found in the bathroom. 2 guns had been fired at Lanny as he exited the shower. These were not the only firearms located in the home, not even close. It seems that both Lanny and his son had a propensity for guns. Police found 24 other firearms in the house, ranging from handguns to rifles. There were masses of ammunition as well as other accessories. In a suitcase with Radley's name on the tag was ammunition matching the type fired from the 2 guns that killed his father. At the station, Donna was read a warrant before her DNA was collected for analysis. When the results were returned, they provided more questions than answers. The gun on the floor near the bathroom had a mixture of Lanny's DNA and one other DNA source. Radley and the security guards were excluded as the second source, but Donna could not be. The gun on the dresser was found to also contain DNA from 2 people, but these test results were inconclusive. Perhaps most curiously, the bloody finger smudge that had been left so far from the scene of the shooting, at the entrance to the house, also contained a mixture of 2 DNA profiles. One of these was Lanny's. The other was from an unidentified source. Investigators seeking to piece together the family dynamic sought out those who knew the Horwitz household. They spoke with Mary Garbo, Radley's ex-partner with whom he shared a daughter. Mary had at one time also been close with Donna, though their relationship had soured in the years after she and Radley split. Mary explained that until a few years prior, Radley had operated a business called Jupiter Arms, selling guns and accessories. He had his gun-selling license revoked, however, after a run-in with law enforcement. Radley was put on the radar of the ATF after purchasing an illegal gun part online, one which could convert a Glock pistol into a fully automatic weapon. He had been encouraged to purchase it by his father. That decision turned out to be a life-changing one.
And the guy let him use hang up his certificate on his wall at his business.
What certificate?
Stating that he had a FFL.
Mm-hmm.
And then his business basically was, he'd go to the bars at night where he hung out anyway, and he would try to drum up business.
Selling guns?
Yeah.
What's with all the guns in the house?
His father was just as paranoid about having guns as Radley became. Rad was more obsessive about it than his father was, though.
Radley was convicted of a felony after he agreed to sell a gun to an undercover officer with the ATF, who presented the wrong paperwork. This led to a 5-month prison sentence. Radley claimed afterwards that he had been entrapped, and that the only reason he had been targeted was the prior illegal purchase, prompted by his father. In this way, he blamed Lanny for the conviction. It did not help that when federal agents arrived to arrest him, he recalled that his father had laughed.
Do you know where the guns are kept in the house?
The guns used to be kept in every drawer, closet, and underneath beds and bathrooms, and they used to be everywhere once upon a time. But after Rad got in trouble, I was told all the guns were sold, there were no more guns, and because he was in trouble and on probation, he wasn't allowed to be near weapons, so I was told everything was gone. That's what I was told.
Following the conviction, Radley struggled to find work. He moved back into the family home where he began working for his father's business. But things in the household had been tense ever since Donna had moved back into the house 6 months before the murder. Lanny and Donna Horwitz were first married in 1967. They had met as teenagers and quickly became inseparable. Their only son, Radley, was welcomed 6 years following their wedding. They moved to the gated community in Jupiter in 1990, where Lanny began building their family home. He had trained as a lawyer specializing in real estate, but had never formally practiced law. An early investment in hotels led to quick gains and an early retirement at the age of 39. The family was worth millions and lived a very comfortable lifestyle for many years, purchasing a second home and luxury vehicles. In the years before his death, however, Lanny's financial situation had grown more precarious. He was involved in a prospective deal in Italy involving the construction of a resort-style property, which promised to pay substantial gains if he could get it to completion. He also ran a food supplement business, which kept him afloat. If his finances had grown unstable, it was nothing compared to his personal life. In 2001, after decades of marriage, Donna and Lanny divorced. Donna had reportedly carried on an affair with a local security guard, later moving in with him for a time in a small apartment. The ink was not yet dry on the divorce papers, however, when the two reconciled. In fact, they remarried. The divorce finalized in May. They were remarried by September. But it did not last. By the spring of the following year, they had parted ways once again. But it seems not permanently. Donna had spent years fighting mental health battles, including more than one attempt on her life. By 2011, she was keen for yet another reconciliation. And her wish seemed to come true when Lanny asked her to move back into the home in Admiral's Cove. Their son, fresh out of prison and unable to find work as a convicted felon, would move in as well. They would be a family again. The night before the murder, Radley, with his young daughter, went to dinner with his father. According to his recollection, over fries and hamburgers, Lanny made 2 significant and contradictory statements. The first was that despite the divorce, he had always seen himself growing old with Donna, his high school sweetheart and the mother of his son. The second was that he was leaving on a trip to North Carolina the next day with his business partner and the woman believed to be his longtime mistress, Francine Tice. Fran lived 10 houses down from the Horwitz family in Admiral's Cove. For roughly 5 years, she and Lanny had worked closely together and had developed a tight bond. Their affection for each other was obvious. They held hands in public, frequently embraced, and openly kissed. They spent a great deal of time in each other's company. When apart, they exchanged text messages at all times of the day and night. Investigators were keen to speak with Fran. By the time detectives arrived at her home, the news of Lanny's death had already reached her, though they told her none of the details.
He lived his life through my friends. I have an amazing amount of friends and dinner parties and my businesses and traveling. We went to Europe. The best. You always want a Lanny. Everybody wants to meet a Lanny. This should never, ever happen. Could they bring him back to life? Is there? And let's see if he really is dead. He is dead.
Fran was first asked about her relationship with Lanny. She insisted repeatedly that their relationship had never been physical, but it had been a kind of romance nonetheless.
If you don't mind my asking, it's a personal question.
Yes.
Are you
Physical, never.
Okay. So you're
Ever.
best friends?
Beyond best friend.
Okay.
He's just a guy.
Okay.
A guy who's the best friend, just like you have a
Business
girlfriend.
partner with
and
her
my
as well.
business partner, my God, and so many of my businesses.
It's not for not his lack of trying. He wanted
He
wanted to be with you.
He did. I mean, who else comes to the airport with a dozen red roses to say I missed you away with a kiss on the cheek?
Right.
Next, Fran was asked about Lanny's relationship with Radley. A friend of hers was present at the interview to offer support and prompted her not to hold back.
Other than that, has he had any issues with Rad or?
To my knowledge, again, Lanny's a private person.
Tell him what you know, sweetie.
Lanny's
not here.
Let me just tell you. Did he shoot Lanny?
We don't know. That's what we're trying to find out.
There was a struggle, though.
We don't know.
Can I tell you what I see? Oh, but I better not. I see the whole thing. I see the whole thing.
You can tell us. Sure.
No, I'd rather not.
Okay.
I'd rather not.
All right. No real issues that you know with Rad, except that he's just not.
Trust fund baby.
Yeah. No jobs or anything like that.
Had a couple.
Okay.
Didn't keep them.
Right.
On unemployment.
All right. And then he's been living with his dad as long as you've known him?
As long as I've known him.
Okay.
Finally, Fran was asked about Donna. If she and Lanny had been so happy together, why did he move his ex-wife back into the house?
Did a deal with him, and he wouldn't tell me what the deal was.
She
the
being-
ex-wife. The ex-wife.
Okay. And
Donna.
Okay. When you say deal, what do you mean?
I don't know.
Okay.
So he went to Asheville.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he came back from that trip, he said that Donna was moving back into the house. They were not remarrying, that she wanted to make it work. I said, all right. Hasn't she done this to you 4 times past? He goes, yep.
The deal that Fran was likely referencing was the financial arrangement that Lanny had proposed to Donna 6 months prior. They would reconcile, but she needed to lend him $200,000. He needed the money to keep the 2 family homes afloat. Donna agreed. She was excited to make things work again with her ex-husband. But was she, at that time, aware of the special relationship that Lanny had with Francine and what that would mean for her potential reconciliation?
Did his ex-wife know that he loved you?
Wouldn't you think? Wouldn't you think? Wouldn't you think? And wouldn't you think she saw the text? And wouldn't you think she saw the pictures?
Mm-hmm.
He was with me on my birthday, blowing out candles at 3 Forks, my birthday cake.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you think?
Well, we were told that you and he had a relationship.
By her?
By the time.
No, I never had any intimacy with her.
He said you were his girlfriend.
Oh, that's not funny. I was not his girlfriend. I was his business partner, business associate, best friend, or as he puts in text, my best friend, pal, my buddy.
Okay.
Would that be a girlfriend? Did I ever have sex with the man? Never.
Okay.
Did I kiss him? Of course I did. Do I kiss my girlfriends? Absolutely.
Right. Did his family think that you guys were having an affair? Obviously they did.
Oh, I don't know that.
Okay.
Even if Fran had no direct knowledge of Donna and Radley's view of her, she did know that tensions in the Horwitz household had been heating up and had the potential to turn deadly. She told the detective that Lanny had made prophetic statements to her shortly before his death, as though he knew that he would meet a violent end. For her part, Francine believed that she could see what had happened to him. She had dreamt about the guns.
He said to me, if anything happens to me, promise me that you will fight to the end to see that I get justice. When he told me that, it's always been on my mind. And I said, well, you moved into the house. She never cooked a meal for you, Lanny, in all the years you were married. And she's cooking you meals every night. I don't understand it. I'd be afraid what's going into the food. He laughed. He says, no, she's trying to show me she got domestic. 35 years, she couldn't show you that? Mm-hmm. And the dream with the guns. You don't understand. I see things. I know. I'm sorry. It sounds crazy.
What do you see happening? What do you see happen?
He was getting out of the shower. His cell phone was here. The gun was somewhere very close to him because he always brings it with him. He was coming out of the shower. She saw the suitcase being packed because, I don't know if he told her he was going to Asheville. This is what I see. This is the scene. She says, you go, I'm going to kill you. That's what I see. And he's saying, stop it, Donna. I know him because he's gentle. He took the gun and it killed him.
Lanny had not been found with his cell phone, though he had knocked a landline device from the wall during the attack. Crime scene analysts suggested he may have been reaching for the phone to call for help. In the days following the murder, Lanny Horwitz voluntarily sat down with police alongside his attorney to offer further details. According to Radley, his father's suitcases were packed for his trip with Francine the next day. He assumed his mother had also spotted them. Since his mother had moved into the house, he described how her physical and mental health had been visibly deteriorating. Always an energetic and attractive woman, she had descended rapidly, losing weight, her hair turning brittle. He characterized his father as a difficult man, emotionally and psychologically manipulative.
My dad said that he wanted to, work things out with my mom and stuff. And with the initial divorce, I thought, she was the worst person in the world. But then once I was living at home and I was under his thumb, I realized that he was, I guess, when you're younger and stuff, whatever. But that he, wasn't the nicest person, And she said to me that he used to, tell her that he'd put her out on the street, and I never believed it. That he'd, after the grandmother died, Anita, that because of all the legal stuff that he'd had her sign since the divorce in 2001, that he would, that he'd have her out on the street. And she always said that, she thought she was kind of as a bag lady, and I'm like, not that I can,
So you're saying you believe that he brought her back into the home just to
get that
be
money,
able to mess with her about,
to get the money, to torment her, and I'll use that word again. And again, a black eye is one thing, which I never saw, but those heal and go away.
Right.
The psychological stuff is a lot worse.
Detectives had Radley close his eyes and recount the morning of the murder again, summoning as much detail as possible. He recounted that he awoke and pulled one of his earplugs out. Through the noise of the house alarm, he heard the sound of a gun clicking. The trigger was being pulled, but there was no ammunition left to fire.
The clicking sound, you were in the gun business before.
Yeah.
Okay. You hear the clicking sound as you describe it.
Yeah.
To you, what is that clicking sound?
Out. Out.
On what?
No more shots in the gun, in a gun. It's a gun being dry fired or, fired empty.
Okay.
And,
when you saw your mom walking back and forth, was the gun still in her hand?
I don't know, so I'm not going to say. I don't know.
Okay.
And I know there was a lot of screaming, and I think she was screaming my name. I'm pretty sure she was saying Radley, at least a couple of times, and the other, I don't know, was like, oh,
did you come out at that point?
I came out once I'd already peeked out the other side, and then, I don't know if I put my shorts on then or what, but came out.
It's important for us to understand and know whether or not you said something. I mean, what happened here?
Okay, all right. She was saying he was so awful. He was so awful. She said that twice. And I said, did he attack you? And I don't know if it was there, if we were in the car, and I was like, did he attack you? And I'm pretty sure that all she kept saying was that he was so awful.
The interview concluded with Radley denying any involvement in his father's killing and insisting that whatever happened, his mother was not at fault.
I have to ask you before, we go, you said you got to go to the bathroom, but I just want to ask you, did you shoot your father, or were you involved in any way?
Absolutely not. I did not shoot my father. I was not involved in any other way, or in any way. I was woken up to gunfire, polygraph, whatever. I mean, I think you guys know, but you still gotta ask.
I have to ask.
What did you think? Seeing what was there,
maybe
listening to what you said, what you're telling us you heard.
Maybe he snapped. Maybe she snapped. But that, and this is going to sound absolutely stupid, but it was going to sound beyond stupid, but cliche too, but whatever happened and whatever had been happening, she was the victim. And my dad's laying in the goddamn morgue, and I'm telling you that.
Donna had never given a formal statement to law enforcement. Nonetheless, investigators believed they had discovered evidence that offered unique insight into her mind and motive. They had found Donna's diary. Her entries provided a narrative of the emotional and psychological decline that Radley had described witnessing firsthand. In March of 2011, upon deciding to give Lanny the $200,000 loan as part of their reconciliation, she wrote, Lanny asked about $200,000 to keep both houses afloat and move back in and reconcile. Great day. Lanny loves me and I love him and I want to help. By July, however, her entries had taken a dark turn. She had come to believe that Lanny was having an affair with Francine, though he continued to deny it. Fran texted Lambo at midnight, woke us up. Lanny left at 1:15 to go on an errand with Fran, didn't return until 4:45 p.m. In August, she recorded, My heart is broken and he is working on my mind, playing games with me. By early September, there was less ambiguity. She wrote, Things are not good here. His comments are insulting, trying to act like he isn't with Fran all the time. Throughout these entries, Donna's affectionate nickname, Lambo, was replaced with a new name which she gave to her ex-husband, Mr. Meany. The last entry was dated September 5th, just weeks before the murder. After Lanny had left to spend time with Francine, Donna wrote, Another long day of lies, of being Mr. Meany. I stayed home all day, very tired. Donna Horwitz was arrested and charged with the murder of her ex-husband. She pleaded not guilty and headed to trial in 2013. The prosecution argued that on the morning of September 30th, Donna saw Lanny's suitcases packed and ready to go for his trip with Francine, and she snapped. She shot at her ex-husband 10 times from 2 handguns. 9 of those shots hit their mark.
What you have here is a woman scorned, love, hate, and obsession. It wasn't about money. It was about, you want to know what? You are not going to North Carolina. You are not going anywhere. And if I can't have you, no one else can. 10 times on a naked man when he's in the shower. The last one in the mouth is the shot of an angry, angry woman.
We don't really know exactly what happened here. You know, at the end of this trial, you may have more questions than answers. And that's the reasonable doubt. You may never know what happened.
The defense argued that it was not Donna that snapped that morning, but her son. Radley Horwitz, they said, was the real killer. In forming this theory, they pointed to several factors that they believed proved Radley had arranged the murder. The first was the downward trajectory of the gunshots, which they argued showed that someone taller than Donna Horwitz had been the shooter.
The gun would have to be very close to the top of her forehead. Absolutely, scientifically impossible that Donna Horwitz was the shooter here.
One of the central issues with pointing to Radley as the killer was the result of his GSR test. Unlike his mother, who refused to work with detectives, Radley gave consent to have this test performed at the scene that morning. His hands were swabbed to test for gunpowder. The results came back negative. The defense theory, therefore, relied on speculation that Radley had not fired the guns himself. He had arranged for a hitman to enter the house that morning. They pointed to the bloody finger smudge on the gate by the door, which contained Lanny and an unknown individual's DNA. They argued that the hitman left this smudge as they rapidly fled the scene. What was not properly explained was how an unknown individual managed to enter the home undetected, bypassing the security system. The system was triggered only after shots had been fired. When Radley took the stand, he recounted his version of events from that morning, including observing disturbing details of his father's final breaths, as he fearfully looked in on him lying on the bathroom floor.
Screaming my name, and she might have said, like, your father, or something like that. He made this god-awful, inhuman, gurgling sound.
Did that frighten you?
Yes, yeah.
Upon cross-examination, Radley was confronted with his own potential motive to see his father dead. He had blamed Lanny for his arrest and conviction on the weapons charge from years earlier. After following his father's advice, he made the illegal purchase online that had placed him in the ATF's crosshairs, or so he believed. He placed the blame for the conviction that derailed his life on his father. Then there was the financial motive. Radley admitted that his father had tricked him into signing away entitlement to a $200,000 life insurance policy. That money was then earmarked for Francine. Nonetheless, Radley was still poised to receive a large sum of money upon his father's death, at least $500,000, 2 homes, and luxury cars.
And you probably got around $500,000 out of this?
Ballpark, yes, maybe even a little bit more.
The defense then grilled him about a book he purchased in 2004. It was entitled Hitman. Asked if the book could be characterized as a manual on how to kill someone and get away with it, Radley replied, as opposed to killing somebody and getting caught, yes.
Did you hire anyone to kill your father?
Absolutely not.
And did you, yourself, kill your dad?
Absolutely not.
That's all I have, thank you.
The final assertion of the defense was that if Donna had fired the shots, she would have been covered in blood. The pajamas that she wore were eventually obtained and processed, but not on the morning of the murder. It was a significant oversight made by law enforcement in the initial hours at the scene, as they attempted to determine if the wounds had been self-inflicted or whether they were dealing with a homicide. None of the officers who dealt with Donna at that time had noted blood on her. Indeed, that would have been a major red flag, leading them to conclude it was a likely murder scene before they even knew the number of shots that had been fired. Radley told police that he noticed blood on his mother's foot while they were seated outside of the house. He handed her a napkin to wipe it off. The prosecution, however, did not necessarily need the blood to place Donna inside the bathroom with her husband at the time the guns were fired. There was another telltale sign. At the scene, Donna was asked by a detective if she needed a bottle of water. In response, she indicated to her ears. She could not hear anything. So Donna was asked directly if she was in the room when the gun went off. To this question and others, she did not respond. It was later determined, however, that Donna permanently lost 48% of her hearing that day.
This is a case about jumping to conclusions. A third party murdered Lanny Horwitz, and he left a bloody smudge of his DNA on the gate as he made his getaway. Boom! The first shot goes off and hits him. He's in the shower. He's in absolute shock. Glass flies all over the place. He steps out and boom, boom, boom. He's shot 4 more times by one gun. And there's blood spatter all over. He had 500,000 reasons to have his dad dead. It's called life insurance. He was the beneficiary.
It took the jury less than 2 hours to convict the 66-year-old of first-degree murder with a firearm. Jurors had quickly dismissed arguments that the bullet trajectory showed someone taller than Donna Horwitz had been the shooter. They also believed testimony from a blood spatter analyst that the smudge on the gate was probably transferred from a glove or other supplies that first responders used at the crime scene. They concluded that it did not indicate that a third person had been present at the time of the murder.
It's just awful. Nobody should have to go that way. No matter what. Even the mafia doesn't kill like that. So it's unbelievable that she could do something.
And I'd like her to remember every single day that the prima donna lifestyle ended when she put the gun in his mouth.
I guess she prefers the police wagon to her white Mercedes.
Donna's legal team quickly appealed the verdict. The basis of the appeal was the emphasis and meaning that the state attributed to her decision to stay silent from the moment responders arrived on scene. Despite testimony that at times it seemed she did not respond because she was unable to even hear the questions being posed, her silence was used by prosecutors as proof of her consciousness of guilt. Donna did not respond to queries from Luis Garcia, the security officer, or her own son at the scene, even though at that time no one except perhaps Donna knew they were dealing with a murder. When the EMT arrived and pronounced Lanny dead, Donna still said nothing. This silence, they argued, was a sign of her guilt. The appeals court, however, found that her silence should not have been used as evidence against her. Donna's appeal on these grounds was successful, and in 2017, she was granted a new trial. Despite its failure the first time around, the defense team's strategy had not changed. Radley Horwitz was the real killer, they said, or rather, the mystery hitman that he hired to do the deed. Initially, it seems, their argument had traction. Following closing arguments, jurors began their deliberations at 1 p.m. 3 hours later, they told the judge that they were hopelessly deadlocked. The vote was 6 to convict and 6 to acquit. Instead of declaring a mistrial, the judge ordered the jury to call it a day, go home and sleep on it, and then return in the morning to deliberate further. Surprisingly, that overnight break offered further clarity to exactly half of the jury. The next morning, they reached a unanimous verdict. They found Donna Horwitz guilty of second-degree murder.
I don't really believe I caved in. I feel that at the very end, I was convinced that it had to be her. Would I have liked to have seen more evidence? Yes. But my conscience and my gut said it had to be her. The biggest problem was that there were only 2 people in the house. She was arrested and the son wasn't. I had a lot of questions that were unanswered. I would like to have seen more evidence, more blood on her, something that said she did it directly, but there wasn't enough reasonable doubt And common sense, in the end, is what finally swayed me. And I was the last holdout. I don't think she should have a life sentence. But again, she's probably going to unfortunately die in prison unless they get an appeal and win.
The state requested a sentence of life in prison following the conviction, arguing that Donna failed to demonstrate any remorse for her actions and continued to blame her own son for the murder. At the age of 70, she was sentenced to 32 years in prison.
They used the same defense a second time. Didn't work the first time, and didn't work the second time. You know, I think I've been kicked around enough at this point, honestly, so just looking to move on with my life, and I think the physical evidence has spoken. 2 separate juries have spoken. I still can't help but feel a little bad for my mom, but as I said the last time, it's pretty much the only family that's left.
Lanny Horwitz moved from the United States for a fresh start at life. He says that he has less hatred towards his father than he did years ago, and he does not hold any anger towards his mother. And that was the tragic case of Lanny Horwitz. Thanks for joining me, and a shout out this week to Alberto Villar and Sky God for joining our Members Lounge. I'm Kevin, this is Just Thought Lounge, and I'll see you in the next one.
I can hear the cries repeat. Gotta take my time, cause these crimes get deep, but these stories can't hide. Let me find my seat. Kevin, go ahead and settle in. Gotta be selective, doing all the research, keeping it objective. Always been effective, can say he got a knack. Pick of the litter, you see how Newton got his back. Yeah, the content that you need, this could be a new sign. We talking the comments, they jot